Hey, today we have Ron Gonen on the phone and from RecycleBank, and as we've discussed, Ron is really one of the rock stars of the green revolution on the cutting edge. He's married up the concept of recycling and banking and rewards so people change their behavior, and he's been such a leader since he started this company in 2004, and we're so honored to have you on the phone live from New York today. Thank you, Ron, for joining us. And this year, we there's so many things to talk about, but congratulations on winning the National Recycling Coalition Award for innovation this year, and also being named the United Nations Champion of the Earth for your entrepreneurial vision. There's so many other things to discuss. I want to get that out of the way, but say congratulations and thank you for joining Mike Brady and myself today on Green is Good.
Thanks a lot, guys, and thanks for having me on the show.
So wait a second now. Mike and I were talking before you've joined us, and, marrying up the issue and the concept of recycling, which was never really highlighted in this country yet, hadn't become part of our DNA back in 2004, with the idea of rewards and affinity programs, which are so popular here in this country. How did you do that, and why did you do that, and how did this whole concept come about?
Sure. Well, the concept came about because cities in around 2002 were starting to cut their recycling programs. And as somebody had always had an interest in social policy and the environment and business, I started looking into it. And what I realized was that people were looking at the economics of recycling with an incorrect equation. They were looking at recycling and going, well, how much can I sell this stuff for? And the way they should really be evaluating recycling is, how much can I save by not having to drive all of this stuff to a faraway landfill and pay to stick it in the landfill? And once I started looking at the value of recycling that way, I said, hey, there's a lot of value created here by diverting waste from the landfill. Who's creating the value? It's the homeowner. So if we can figure out a way to pass some of that value back to the homeowner, they're going to make sure that they continue to recycle, which is going to divert more and more waste from the landfill, which is going to save the municipality more money because they don't have to truck the stuff or pay to dump it in a landfill. And it's going to help companies out because they don't have to pay for virgin materials. And I recognized that connection and started building a software and business model that would reward people for increasing recycling.
That is just amazing. And what I love, I've seen you speak so many times, and you're so clear in your vision and your mission. I've heard you say before, recycling is the one thing we can all do, as opposed to being said, don't drive your Hummer or put solar on your roof. Explain what you mean by recycling is the one thing we can all do.
Well, I think the environmental community has come a long way in terms of wind and solar and the hybrid car being the most popular car on the market today.
Right.
But the majority of the American population still can't access wind or solar or can't buy a hybrid car yet. And I think it's critical for the sustainability of the environmental community for there to be something that every American can do today and feel like they're having a significant impact today by doing it. And that thing is recycling. And I looked at recycling and said, hey, this is something that I can use to have 100% penetration in a community around making a difference in the environment.
And so if that's the case, and we love what you're doing, obviously, and that's why we're so thrilled to have you on the show today, how does your program really work then? If recycling is something we can all do, what have you brought to the communities across America, and how are the people responding? Explain how it works, because our listeners who have it already are going to be, of course, proud, but then the listeners who don't have it yet are going to start being able to go to their politicians or local officials and ask for it. How does it work?
We sign a contract with your city, and every home in the city gets our RecycleBank recycling container. There's a chip embedded in the container. We retrofit the city's trucks with a mechanical arm that picks up the container, reads the chip, identifies that the Smith household recycled and how much you recycled. We translate the amount you recycled into RecycleBank points. You can then log on to our website, and just like you're looking at your bank statement, you'll see each week you recycled and how many points you earned. And you can use those points to shop at over 1,500 local or national businesses.
Well, Ron, how are the points determined? Is that by weight? Is it by material? How does that work?
It's by weight. Again, back to our core model, we don't care what you're recycling or the value of what you're recycling. We care about the value of getting it out of the landfill. And the landfill measures things on weight. So we don't care what you're recycling. We just care that you are recycling and how much you're recycling.
Now, with the recyclable materials going into this one container, can you mix the media? In other words, can you throw plastics along with tin and paper and aluminum?
Yes, absolutely. You can. It's called single stream recycling, and we can take all of your recyclables together in one cart.
So, out of how many communities have bought into your RecycleBank program to date?
We have over 100 communities in our program to date in 20 states across the country, and just launched service in Europe 2 weeks ago.
Wait a second. Okay, so now, we only have, I would love to spend 2 hours with our listeners with you on the phone today, but unfortunately we're limited to 30 minutes. So give us one of the greatest stark examples of what community you started at who had the lowest recycling rate, and then where did you take them? Show us one of your amazing examples of how well your program works.
Wilmington, Delaware had essentially no recycling program. We deployed our service, and now they have one of the highest recycling rates in the country.
So you went from zero in Wilmington, Delaware, and over the course of a 12-month period, you got them to what level of, what level of recycling?
They're diverting about 50% of their waste stream into the recycling stream. So they were spending about $3 million a year disposing of waste in the landfill. We've now diverted half of that into the recycling stream. So they're making a positive impact on the environment, and they're also saving themselves about $1.5 million a year.
Wow. So this is a value proposition. When you talk about leaders of the sustainability movement like you are, and we know you are, and when our listeners are hearing what you're doing in terms of the three major pillars of sustainability, people, planet, and profits, here everybody wins. Explain how everybody wins in the value proposition of RecycleBank.
The city wins because we help it divert waste from the landfill, and they drive local economic development because we're putting money in people's pockets.
Right.
The resident wins because they get paid for doing something virtuous. Companies win because they get great advertising and lead generation through us, and there's more recycled product on the market, which reduces their manufacturing costs. And the environment benefits because more stuff is getting recycled, which saves our natural resources.
So now you gave us a great example of Wilmington, Delaware, but without giving names, because I know you track everything in your website and I really encourage all our listeners to go to your website, www.recyclebank.com, and we'll give that later on again also. But what family, without giving their name, what family has earned? How many points have they earned? And then what have they, what do they get to convert into? Because I want our listeners to understand you've created an affinity network of talk about the brands and talk about how many points that in 1 year one family has earned and what they could do with that.
Sure. You can earn up to $400 a year.
Okay.
And you can use them at a whole host of different places. And what's important to us is because we have 100% penetration.
Sure.
We have to make sure that our rewards program is valuable for the bachelor between 18 to 30 and the senior citizen and a family of four. And so if you want to use your points at the grocery store, we have all the major grocery chains. If you want to use them for products in the store, Kraft and a number of other companies are our partners. If you want to go to the movies, we have movie tickets. If you want to go to sporting events, you can use your tickets for sporting events.
So it's not just one or two, partners you have in your affinity program for rewards redemption. It's literally thousands, 1,500. So people really are going to have a use for their rewards points.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, listen, Ron, we have so much more stuff to cover with you. We gotta go to our commercial break, but please come on back with us and join us again at Green is Good.
A little green is good, more is even better. Now, back to Green is Good with John Shigarian and Mike Brady.
Hey, welcome back to Green is Good. Thanks for joining Mike and myself. And today you're also joining Ron Gonen, who's on the phone from New York City. He's the co-founder and the CEO of RecycleBank, which is just one of the greatest sustainability businesses that have been created during this new period of green revolution here in America. Ron, welcome back, and thanks for joining us again today.
Thank you.
Hey, Ron, you mentioned all the communities across America. How many states now is RecycleBank in the United States in?
We're in 20 states in North America and just launched in the UK.
I want to talk about the UK in a second. 20 states. And, when you go to bed at night and you think about, the dream here, what's the dream? How far can you take this in the United States and across the world? And what does it look like now in terms of getting into all 50 states?
We want to be servicing millions of homes. That's the goal. We'd love to be in 5, 10, 15, 25, 40, 50 million homes over the next few years.
Great. So, our listeners who don't yet have your service, there's hope yet. They can, you could be coming to a community near them very shortly.
Yes.
Perfect. Ron, what has typically been the response of the local elected officials and the citizens of the community when that new your new container is dropped, and how does the uplift usually work once you start getting involved in a community?
The uptick we see right away. As long as we communicate the program effectively, the uptick we see right away. People are thrilled to have the opportunity to earn disposable income by doing the right thing.
Gotcha. And now you said you're in 20 states here in America, and you went to the UK recently. And so how has the response been in the UK, and what town are you in over there?
The response has been great in the UK, and we're in Windsor, which is about 20 minutes outside of London. It's actually where the Queen lives.
The Queen? Wait, Ron, so now you're telling our listeners across America and the world that the Queen of England is recycling?
That's what we hope so.
Hey, that's
great. If not, we'll know that she's not.
Hey, listen, the Queen is recycling with RecycleBank. I love that. That's you have set the royal standard.
Yeah, and I'm wondering here, what would Her Majesty spend her RecycleBank.com points on? Where would she take that?
Well, one great thing for her to do is you can donate your RecycleBank points to our Green Schools program, which every point that's donated to the Green Schools program is matched by a real dollar contribution that goes towards environmental initiatives at local schools. So she can use her points if she wants to go to the local pub, which is also fine, but you can also...
Perfect. Hey, so talk about the points again for a second. So the maximum any family can earn here in the United States is $400 worth of points. Are families maxing out, and also when they keep track, your website, RecycleBank.com is an amazing website. Do people keep tracking communities and compete with one another and how many points they're accumulating?
We don't do that yet because we've been very focused on privacy,
right?
Because we pick up your recyclables, and so we haven't really done contests around how are you doing relative to your neighbor, this or that, because it's really a personal thing. If you want to throw away your recyclables as garbage, do that, and you're not going to make any money. If you want to make money and do the right thing, we'll pay you for it. We're not going to have you compete with somebody else or disclose any of that information.
That makes a lot of sense. But are families actually maxing out the $400 worth?
Yes.
That's so great.
Maxing out, and so we're starting to offer additional services and opportunities to gain more points.
Oh, that is just wonderful. And Mike and I, we get to wave to each other in the studio here, and what a great concept that you also created the donation program. So everybody even wins. You take it even further. That's just good for you, Ron, and that's really something to be applauded.
Thanks.
Hey, so anyway, so what take us through some of what has the response been throughout the United States in what are more traditional industries, the waste industry, which is a historical industry, and a legacy industry in the United States, which typically haven't been doing tons of recycling. What has the response been, and how do you partner up with them and collaborate with both waste companies and communities and other things? How do you convince them that, hey, in 2004 you came up with this amazing concept, it really does work, and come on, partner up with us?
We show them the economic return that they can get by using our service to gain more customers, maintain customer loyalty, and also understand what's going on out there, who they're collecting from, and so on and so forth.
So from the first month when you started compared to now 5 years later, I assume the sell-through today and the pitch is a lot easier today now that you've proven your point and you've done proof of concept compared to early in 2004.
Yes, it gets easier and easier as we deploy to more and more municipalities.
So with regards to your participating partners, your 1,500. You mind if we name a couple, like show America how many great brands or some of the great brands you've brought underneath your wing that are partners with you? Sure,
we have great partnerships with Coke.
Wow.
Kraft, Method cleaning products.
Sure.
Most of the major supermarket chains like Acme and ShopRite and Albertsons and Whole Foods.
Gotcha.
So we have a long list of great partners.
So when you've mentioned single stream recycling before, and you've explained it well that means all recyclables can be recycled, as Mike asked you, in the same container. What do you see? What are the trends in America with regards to recycling? What is being recycled the most, but what do you think can still come on that isn't being recycled yet?
When we're servicing communities, we're able to pull out pretty much everything that's out. We've been very successful in the communities that we're servicing with getting everything that's out there recycled.
So paper, plastic, cardboard, glass, aluminum, tin. If your households are throwing those things away into your bin, they're earning points and they're earning dollars to redeem at your 1,500 participating partners.
Yep.
Gotcha. And is there right now, when you look at the statistics, I think USA Today last week made a pie chart, Ron, of about 54%. The average American throws out about 4.3 pounds of trash a day. And out of that percentage, about 13% is incinerated, 55% goes to a landfill, and 33% or so is recycled. Take us through in your own vision, take us through how those numbers should or could change with RecycleBank coming across America and hopefully the world. How are those numbers going to change,
Sure.
you think?
We're diverting about 50% of the waste stream.
Right.
Which means that of all those recyclable commodities, we're collecting most of them. Then you get your organic waste, which is about 25 to 30%, and the next thing that we want to get into is organics, and that's actually something that we're doing in the UK. We've chipped their organics bins. And the rest after that, the 20%, is textiles and furniture and some other things, and we're trying to provide resources to our households to make sure that they get disposed of in environmentally conscious ways.
Well, Ron, let me ask you this. Speaking specifically about organics, what would the end result be with the organics that get recycled? We're talking about garbage like your potato peelings, things like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, now
it either goes to a compost facility or an anaerobic digester, and it becomes energy.
It becomes energy. So there again, the takeaway from that is more energy. I mean, this just seems like such a no-brainer to begin with. Now, when you talk about the furniture, et cetera, what's going to happen with that? Will that be refurbished, rebuilt, or just broken down to its components? For example, like wood furniture could be broken down into organics then, I would assume, right?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't end up in a landfill, as long as it's being reused somehow, that's successful.
Okay, so with the organics, that can go into like a biofuel. So we are saving landfill area right there and help saving the energy that we're not using to get rid of it, but also creating energy in the process.
Yep.
Amazing.
Hey, so Ron, let's go back to the fact that the Queen is now recycling with RecycleBank. Why the UK? Why was that the first opportunity? And what are the other opportunities with RecycleBank in Europe and other countries? What's your vision, without giving away anything proprietary to potential competitors? What's the vision around the world for you?
The UK we went to because they have such high landfill disposal fees, and our goal is provide our service to millions and millions of homes across the U.S. and into Europe and South America and other parts of the world.
How about Canada or Mexico, or how about Germany or Hong Kong? Is there anything that's on what's coming next? Is it going to be Toronto? Is it going to be Hong Kong? What's on the boards for you guys?
Well, Toronto we consider as part of North America, so that's currently in play for us to pursue. After the UK, we'll probably look at Germany next or Australia.
Gotcha. That's amazing. Ron, Mike and I are always interviewing all these wonderful folks who are leaders in the green revolution, and there's a new term out, ecopreneur, for them, because it's an entrepreneur, but really someone who's doing so much for the environment like you. You're one of the leading ecopreneurs in the world. Who was your mentor? I mean, so many of our listeners want to, they need inspiration. Obviously, if they're listening today, you're inspiring them. Who was your inspiration? Who is your mentor to go follow this dream?
One of my mentors is someone I grew up working for. His name is Paul Mock, who is a very successful architect in the green space, and he was really doing green architecture back in the late 80s and early 90s, before it was hot or slick, and he was a mentor of mine that showed me the value in being environmentally conscious.
And who keeps you inspired today? I mean, you're still very young. You're unbelievably successful. Who do you surround yourself, or who do you seek inspiration from as you continue to push the envelope with your company?
My customers. When I see people who get engaged with our service and are pumped about it and never participants in the environment before our service, that's where I get my inspiration. I feel like I'm making a difference.
Gotcha. And are businesses part of this also, in terms of not your rewards partners and participating partners like Coca-Cola, but are businesses included in the RecycleBank network in terms of getting a bin to throw out their stuff if they're in the community that you're now serving?
We're planning to roll out a commercial service in 2010.
Gotcha. And do RecycleBank points ever expire? Like if I don't use them after a month or two, something.
No, they don't expire.
So the rewards never expire.
Right.
So theoretically, if you're maxed out at $400 a year, you can go several years before you total it up, and then you can really go on some kind of shopping spree, right?
That's right. What's interesting is we always see a huge spike around the Christmas season of redemption.
I wonder why that is now.
Hey, Ron, you're amazing, and we're so thankful for you spending this time with us today. We usually like to leave our listeners at the end of every show with some couple of action points. So first of all, if they want RecycleBank to come to their community, who should they call, or who should they engage with to try to get RecycleBank to the community? And beyond that, if people just want to recycle more without having RecycleBank there yet, what can they do? We got about a minute left. Give the listeners some inspiration here.
They should call their township manager or their mayor's office and say, I understand that I can get paid for recycling and that we as a town can track what's going on. How do we get involved with that? We got to get on the phone with RecycleBank and send them our website.
Got it. And if people want to recycle more in their home now, before you come to their community, which I know you're going to, what should they do?
Use whatever city service is available to them to make sure that they're getting their recyclables recycled.
Hey, Ron, thank you again for all your time today. You're a visionary, you're an amazing ecopreneur, and you are just another great reason why green is good.